new 910 campus consistent with, in structure with our other 9 and 910 centers, Lewisville Vista 9th and 10th grade center.
What other 9th and 10th grade centers do we have in Lewisville ISD?
Kilo.
That's a 9th grade center. Are we renaming Kilo also now?
That has already been taken place in a previous action when that campus opens with 9th and 10th graders.
Okay, so that's a committee recommendation, and so we can have discussion. Why Vista? Oh, I understand that, but I'm just, I'm asking. People are going to say, okay, what's, Vista, Mr. Vista, Mrs. Vista?
Well, we had numerous recommendations for names of people, and there are fine, upstanding individuals in the community that might be deserving of having a facility named after them. Too many to name all of any building after everybody. So it was the committee's will, and we had a lot of discussion that centered around sticking to our policy. And our policy right now says that we will name after geographic locations, after historical sites, after any number of other things besides people. And it is also an ongoing task of the construction committee. We are working on firming up our naming policy in order to have some better guidelines than what we have right now. And a lot of that discussion is about naming things after people or not naming things after people. So we looked through all of the recommendations, and we had a whiteboard involved and markers and voting by secret ballot, and it was quite a process to get to the end result. But Mr. Knapp or Mr. Ferguson or Dr. Waddell could chime in and explain to you why we thought Vista was a good choice. It has nice, lofty connotations.
Mr. Knapp, would you like to speak to that?
Well, it doesn't help that the school sits on a street. We couldn't figure out which street it actually sit on. We could call it the Farm to Market 30, 40, 90. That was suggested. Round Grove was another one. I don't know if the front of the building could have held everything that was in one name. So basically, we tried to stay, I guess you'd say conservative and safe, and not. There were a lot of things, that did go into consideration. It was quite a lengthy meeting. It wasn't a draw name out of a hat and here we go. Oh, that was suggested as well.
Another thing we're looking at, Mr. Knapp and Ms. Fulte, if you remember, was that Lewisville was a 3-syllable word. We're looking for a 1 or 2-syllable thing to go with it, because we just thought it would be too awkward if we had a very long name after that. So Vista recommended itself well. It sounded good to us, and that's the committee recommendation.
Okay, Ms. Gregg, would you like to?
Yes, I just like to know, I had so many emails and calls and everything for Mr. Harmon, and I don't have a problem with naming for historical people in the community. And I would just like to know well, the committee just disregarded the letters from the community?
No, I would not say that at all. What the committee did was refer back to our policy that is presently written, and it does not address or not address naming after individuals. It's not included. Our current policy is not included, and so we did not want to have it be a popularity vote in order to name a building. And so we felt there were many fine, deserving individuals that could be honored or recognized in many ways, shapes, or forms, and that the best possible recommendation to go with right now was not after a person, in keeping with our policy. And that is not in any way, shape, or form. I just said that again. I'm repeating myself. That is not meant to diminish the value of any individuals whose name was recommended, because there were more than one person recommended.
I would almost think that it probably would have overwhelming, probably, because I got lots of calls. And I hadn't even thought about it. And I know Ben Harmon is an outstanding man. He is a pillar of the society of Lewisville. He has done an awful lot for this community. He and his wife. And we've got names on many of our schools. I don't have see why. And I thought it was in the policy. We named Lily Jackson. We've got other names, and I'm just having a problem with that.
That's the good idea. I mean, I thought that was a great idea. There's an alternative for things.
Okay, another item that Mr. Knapp is asking me to impress upon all of you is that we had a lot of discussion about how to recognize individuals who want to be, who are chosen to be honored for their contribution or for whatever item of significance that they might have participated in the district. And one of the things the committee will be probably moving forward with is a recommendation that any campus or group that feels that they wish to honor someone in that manner, we already have a means and a mechanism in order to do that, and that is through our Lewisville Education Foundation and establishing an endowment in that person's honor. And so that is one of the things that we will be bringing as a committee guideline or suggestion, that as an alternative to naming a building in a district this size, we have many fine, upstanding pillars of society that we cannot possibly name something after everyone. And an alternative suggestion would be to establish an endowment, an endowed scholarship in that person's name, and that gives to college seniors, or I'm sorry, high school seniors into the future and contributes to their education.
Why did you ask us to write letters?
Ma'am, it's okay.
But can we point out that the name Vesta was submitted by the community?
If I didn't already say that, I will state that again. The name Vista was recommended from the community.
How many times?
Well, it's not a popularity contest.
I don't have that information.
I'd like to know the numbers. If we ask the community to, we make the recommendation, are we honoring it?
Would anybody else like to speak to this? Ms.
Yes,
Latham?
actually, Ms. Kyer, I would like to read exactly what we asked of the community. The Board of Trustees is seeking nominations for naming the new Lewisville 9th and 10th grade center. Nominations should be sent to Lee Burns at burnsl@lisd.net and will be accepted until February 11th at 5 p.m. Along with the nominations, please send a brief, concise paragraph detailing why the name should be chosen. Below list the facility naming criteria. Persons who have attained prominence locally or nationally and made substantial contributions to public education in their fields of endeavor or to society in general, and whose virtues or characteristics will serve as a role model to students, staff, and the community. A major facility may be named for a person who worked for the district if the person was a distinguished district employee for at least 10 years and has worked in education for at least 30 years and is retired or deceased. Appropriate local, state, or national historical places that have major significance to the district, the street on which the school or facility is located, subdivisions surrounding it, or other descriptive geographical location. The board anticipates to select the name at the March 7th regular board meeting. For questions, please call the Office of Public Information. Now, unless I'm mistaken, this is a suggestion of a surrounding geographical location.
Okay, does anybody else have any input? Ms. Latham?
I still want numbers. I'd like to know, because I'm sure that Mr. Harmon had an awful lot. And you had,
I do not have the numbers with me.
okay, you may call for the vote.
Would anybody else like to speak on this motion? I mean, I will. I mean, I really, honestly, I'm not on the committee, of course. And I really thought this shows you how much we don't talk. I didn't know what was coming forward. And I really thought it was coming forward for Mr. Harmon. So in my head, it's Harmon. So that in itself was a problem, just for me though. From what I understand, you guys really thought long and hard over this. From what I understand, Mr. Ferguson said something about whiteboards and lots of markers. It's a committee recommendation. I feel that this is the way we have it all set up now. This is the way it's done. So I suggest that we go with the committee recommendation because they've obviously thought it through. So would anybody else speak to the motion, want to speak to the motion, or should we just go to the vote? See? Ms. Furnell calls for the vote. Okay, so all in favor of Vista being the name?
Lewisville Vista 9th, 10th grade center.
Okay. All in favor of Lewisville Vista 9th, 10th grade center? That is Ms. Latham, Mr. Ferguson, Ms. Foudy, Ms. Kyer, Ms. Fulton, and Mr. Knapp in favor. And those opposed? Ms. Gregg. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to